Hello everyone, you're listening to People Who Wait, the podcast for people. I'm your host, Sanya Sharma. This is season 2, the all-inclusive table, and we are at episode 24. Thank you for tuning into another episode of the podcast. This is going to be a short episode. I felt that with the festive season approaching, I had to reduce the time I was taking so that we can all take out more time to enjoy the festive season and the good vibes that the festive season is bringing, and also talk about something that maybe we need more during this winter arc. And so today I'm going to talk about meditation. Why meditation? So I think we all know that in our professional lives, personal lives, social lives, we expend a lot of energy just dealing with things. And dealing with things means not only dealing with the peaks, not only dealing with the valleys, but also navigating the road from peak to valley, valley to peak, taking all the detours that life has to offer, being in a maze, trying to find our ways around maze, dealing with unexpected challenges that come our way, making sense of things, or sometimes using things to make sense. So, yeah, we do a lot of things, and many times our body needs rest and we need recentering. Sometimes we need to retrain ourselves to develop some skills better, and they could be anything like developing clarity on something, developing more patience, developing emotional regulation, you name it. And we're all looking for methods to achieve that. Some people achieve it by taking a run, some people achieve it by going to the gym, doing the weights, some people go for boxing, some people paint. One of the techniques that I have personally found useful in navigating the different roads and tunnels of all aspects of life is meditation. So I practice meditation since I was very young, because it was part of my educational curriculum. And I fell out of it, then I got back to it. And I can definitely recommend meditation as a practice because I feel that it definitely helped me. And there is also a lot of research out there which recommends the benefits of groups and people doing meditation together. And if you read more about it, you will see that meditation has benefits that leads that's, I think, verified in the world of neuroscience as well, because it has been noted that it does produce brain waves that do calm down your mind or do put your brain in an optimal state for better performance. And I think for me, the fundamental aspect I felt, or the way it has helped me thus far, or is being effective thus far, is by really helping me calm down the brain and become more observant. It is definitely a good centering technique that helps us maintain a distance between the present, what's happening, and us. So we become more of an observer of what's happening around and do not internalize what's happening, because that is the biggest, you can say the biggest, not the biggest, I would say that's the core of meditation as a practice. It's about stillness. It's about teaching you, I wouldn't say it teaches you stoicism, absolutely not, but I think it is definitely one step towards stoicism. It teaches you to detach, and it teaches you to detach not just from the noise around you in terms of developing concentration, but it teaches you to detach from your thoughts. And I think that's super important because, come on, like in everyday life, don't we all have millions of thoughts? Like, I definitely think a lot, and I know so many of my friends are overthinkers. And I think the problem with overthinkers is that if we let our thoughts run wild, we often start thinking that we are our thoughts. And that is not the case. And that is what meditation tries to teach us, that our thoughts are different than who we are, and that our thoughts are just thoughts, and that there are about 1,000 thoughts that we are getting. Some of them become dominant, some of them are not dominant. And the purpose of meditation is to detach ourselves from all these thoughts, evaluate which one's being dominant, which is not dominant, without any judgment. And when we do that, we get a sense of our thinking patterns. And because we're not emotionally attached to our thoughts and we're only observing them as a neutral third party observer without judgment, we become better at analyzing what is a positive thought, what is a negative thought, what is the thought that we need to do away with, what is the thought that we need to make more dominant. And meditation as a technique definitely helps you achieve that faster, at least in my experience. And I know a lot of my friends who are into it also would vouch for it. I don't think anything is guaranteed, and some things suit some people and some things don't. Like yoga suits some people and it doesn't suit other people. Some people thrive on with the gym, and some people just don't prefer gym and prefer something more creative, or they just prefer running, or they prefer doing things on their own. So I think it's about finding the right fit. But I do think it's definitely worth a shot if you want to find a mechanism to calm down those thoughts in your brain. That recentering exercise definitely, I have found it personally useful. And the more I've read about it, the more I have been convinced that it is a practice that is worth adopting. So we all know we are in the winter and we're all talking about winter arc, and everybody will be setting tons of goals, will be trying to achieve those goals. Some of us are trying to end the year on a high by achieving targets. It could be anything, getting that draft out of the article that you're writing, finishing that case that you're doing, organizing the party that you've been postponing for a very long time, scheduling that vacation, the family union, setting goals for next year, kind of making sure you are prepared for that marathon you're running next year. It could be anything, but I guess somewhere in the winter arc, it doesn't kill to give meditation a shot to see if it can help us maintain a more I wouldn't say positive, because I think I'm certainly against toxic positivity, because I guess sometimes it's better to be realistic rather than too positive, because realism helps us take some practical steps. And I think meditation, I would say, is a tool that definitely helps in taking a judgment call between when are we being overly negative about something, when are we being overly positive about something, or when are we being way too realistic about something, whereas we can actually just be a little more positive about a situation. So yes, give it a shot, see how you get along, and if you like it, then maybe just let me know and we can talk about it. But just to summarize in brief, my favorite meditation technique is, and you don't need a lot of time for this, there are different meditation techniques out there. The one that I do, I can spend between 5 to 20 minutes. Some people spend between an hour to 2 hours doing meditation. I don't think there is any specific rule. You should do what works for you. If you can do it for longer, great, but you don't have to stress yourself. Even 5-10 minutes of recentering the brain really does the trick. And for me, that is what meditation stands for. So if you're looking for a simple practice, one method is just find a quiet place, sit down. If it's morning, you can face the sun and you can open the windows and breathe some fresh air, which is what I do. And or if it's in the evening, you can shut the lights, light a candle, and make sure it's all cool and it's not making you too anxious. So the aim is to make your body as relaxed as possible. Just close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out, take deep breaths, and just try to switch off and concentrate on something. And you can concentrate on anything. It could be a noise, it could be a positive word, it could be the sensation of you breathing, or it has to be something not too distractive, like very basic, because the point is for you to not think too much actively, which is why in meditation the point is to find a concentration point that doesn't allow you to think too much. It's supposed to help your mind go blank. Just sit and meditate on this one concentration point, which can be anything. I've used sounds before. I've used the sound of the wind, the sound of the birds, or you can also just have a word that really sparks you. It could be a color, it could be anything. And just keep thinking about it. And if you have any thoughts, let them float like balloons in the air. Just don't judge them. Think about the various balloons that are floating in your mind. Name them. Oh, okay, this is what it is. This is balloon 2, this is balloon 3. See which one is the biggest. Check that for like 5 minutes. See how you feel. Sometimes people tend to get a bit of a headache because you're concentrating too much. Continue with it until you reach a stage where you feel that you are quite relaxed and you are no longer feeling the need to rush. And you will think about different things, and it's okay to get distracted as long as you can take those thoughts and put them back into a balloon. So try that. And once you feel that, okay, I've had enough balloons floating around me, it's possibly a good sign that you have reached a point in your meditation practice where you are not really attaching yourself to the thoughts, but letting them become distant to you. And that is a good progress. So this is very basic. Meditation practice is very intensive, and this is just a good start. So if you're looking for something super basic, this is something that you can start with. Think of it as a recentering or a concentration or a mindfulness practice, because what it will do is certainly help you identify what you're feeling, what you are thinking. And if you can identify it, you can possibly do something to change it. For instance, if you feel that, oh my God, I'm feeling quite nervous about a certain thing, you can then identify the basic reason that's making you nervous, and then you can do something about it, like write about it, call a friend who can help you overcome that nervous. But it's difficult to figure out that if your mind is consumed with thousand thoughts at the same time. So give meditation a shot. And on that note, today I'm going to read another chapter from Simon Sinek's Start with the Why. And this is at page 213. And it says, the why comes from looking back. So the chapter says, conservative estimates put the numbers at 3-1, but some historians have said that English army was outnumbered by 6-1. Regardless of which estimates you choose to believe, the prospects for Henry V, King of England, did not look good. It was late October in the year 1415, and the English army stood ready to do battle against a much bigger French force in northern France. But the numbers were just one of Henry's problems. The English army had marched over 250 miles, taking them nearly 3 weeks, and had lost nearly 40% of their original numbers to sickness. The French, in stark contrast, were better rested and in much better spirits. The better trained and more experienced French were also excited at the prospect of extracting their revenge on the English to make up for the humiliation of previous defeat. And to top it all off, the French were vastly better equipped. The English were lightly armored, but whatever protection they did have was no match for the superior weight of the French armor. But anyone who knows their medieval European history already knows the outcome of the battle. Despite the overwhelming odds, the English won. The English had one vital piece of technology that was able to confound the French and start a chain of events that would ultimately result in a French defeat. The English had the long bow, a weapon with astounding range for its time. Standing far from the battlefield, far enough away that heavy armor was not needed, the English could look down into the valley and shower the French with arrows. But technology and range aren't what give an arrow its power. By itself, an arrow is a flimsy stick of wood with a sharp-ended tip and some feathers. By itself, an arrow cannot stand up to a sword or penetrate armor. What gives an arrow the ability to take on experience, training, numbers, and armor is momentum. That flimsy stick of wood, when hurling through the air, becomes a force only when it is moving fast in one direction. But what does this battle have to do with finding your why? Before it can gain any power or achieve any impact, an arrow must be pulled backward, 180 degrees away from the target, and that's also where a why derives its power. The why does not come from looking ahead at what you want to achieve and figuring out an appropriate strategy to get there. It is not born out of any market research. It does not come from extensive interviews with customers or even employees. It comes from looking in the completely opposite direction where you are now. Finding why is a process of discovery, not invention. So I believe philosophy is good and it's important and it has its place, and we must not overdo it, because we live in a day and age today where practicality and pragmatism rules everywhere. But I certainly believe that certain practices like the meditation do have the ability to make us more practical, because they tap into the calming energy of the natural calming ability of the mind to help us become better observers of what is it that we are thinking, our own perception. And nobody, I guess, can understand us better than ourselves, but only if we are not looking at ourselves from a distorted perception. And purpose of meditation is to clear that self-view mirror. So if you want a clear mirror where you can look into yourself and get a very honest picture of what you're thinking, what you're not, meditation is a good tool. On that note, I'm going to leave you. I'll see you in the next episode. And of course, please do note that since the festive season is coming, we will have a short break. Not too long. I'll announce it in the next episode. But this is just to give you a heads up that the podcast will go on a coffee break for a very short coffee break. Until then, see you. Have a great meetup in the festive season and meditate.